So today I'm going to be talking about why I decided to learn Dominican Spanish, even though a lot of people came to me and said, "Why are you doing that? I think you're making a mistake." So like a lot of y'all already know, I had tried to learn Spanish for many years before I finally was able to. And the thing that actually got me over that hump to where I was actually able to become fluent was that I found Dominican Spanish. So the thing is, I didn't just like the way that it sounded when people spoke. I love the way that the dialect sounds, but for me, it's a lot more than just that. Like, I love the culture, the music, the food, the people, the country. So all of those things really fueled me to really want to learn the language and be fluent in that language. It's funny because Dominicans and African Americans actually have a lot more in common than I think any of us realize. You know, our sense of humor and rhythm and just the way our sense of being is very similar. So for me, going there and speaking their language and communicating with Dominicans feels very natural. I think there's something really powerful and really beautiful about being able to communicate with other Black people that are around the world. Like, all of us are so similar because we come from the same roots, but at the same time, we all have this very different worldview. And to be able to share that with people around the world who are also Black, I think is like one of the coolest things. Because you get to see how different we are, but also how similar we can still be across miles. See, now I'm talking about something else. This is why I make scripts. All right, so anyway, when I started learning Dominican Spanish, I was, getting in chat rooms and doing whatever just so that I can practice my Spanish. And there were some people that were coming to me like, "But why would you want to learn Dominican Spanish?" And to me, I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's a legitimate question. I'm in the United States. It probably makes more sense for me to learn Mexican Spanish. I can see why they'd ask me that. But the thing is, that's not why they were asking. They were asking me because they were saying that Dominican Spanish is incorrect, that it's poorly spoken, and that I shouldn't learn it, that I should just learn, I don't know, a different version of Spanish. So at first I was just kind of like, like who are you, bro? Like, how are you gonna try to tell me that I've made a mistake with the dialect that I've picked? But then I started to get it more often. Like, this wasn't just a one-time thing. Now there were several people that were telling me like, hey, you probably made a mistake learning Dominican Spanish. Across the Spanish-speaking world, a lot of people have this opinion that Dominican or Caribbean Spanish is incorrect. People say that Dominican Spanish is like the ghetto Spanish because the words are very chopped up and shortened, and there's a heavy slang that a lot of people don't understand if you're not from the Dominican Republic. So at this point, this should sound pretty familiar. I've basically heard that my entire life. Except now we're talking about African American English. It's so interesting to me which dialects become legitimate, like recognized dialects, and which ones are kind of shunned as just being poorly spoken or only spoken by uneducated people. So I had somebody ask me if I was going to change my dialect, if I was going to stop speaking Dominican Spanish and start speaking a more neutral version of Spanish. And my answer to that is absolutely not. Here in the United States, I always have to dress up the way that I talk in certain situations, which is why a lot of times in these videos, it's hard for me to just talk like my normal self, because I've been taught that when you're doing something that's formal or something that involves other people that are not African American, there's a certain way that you're supposed to speak. And so I'm still, today, trying to break that habit for myself, because I find that a lot of times, even if I'm just talking to somebody who's just not Black and it's not formal, I'm correcting the way that I talk to fit their standard of how I guess I'm supposed to talk. I don't know. And so I really refuse to do that with Spanish. I'm just not gonna do that. But with that said, slang does have its place. So you wouldn't go into somewhere super fancy and talk to a bunch of people who aren't Black in a way that they're not gonna understand. Like, I wouldn't be like, "What up, though, Wody?" Those people would be like, "What?" But it shouldn't be about me being afraid to show my education level or to be too Black. Communication, the point is so that you get a message across to somebody else. And if you're using a bunch of words that they don't understand, whether it's slang or whether you just grabbed a whole bunch of fancy words out of a dictionary that people don't understand, if people don't understand what you're saying, you're not communicating. So that's why I say, yes, I know how to speak the basic Spanish. Like, I could communicate with somebody else in a way that they're going to understand, because they're not going to understand Dominican slang. But I shouldn't have to change the rhythm that I speak in or anything like that just because it's too Dominican. Anyway, so that is the whole point of this video. I just want to make it very clear. There's nothing wrong with Dominican Spanish. There's nothing wrong with African American English. No matter what language you speak, don't let people try to deter you from learning the dialect that you want to learn or that you want to speak. Because with that dialect comes very specific people that you're going to be able to communicate with. And as long as you can communicate with that group of people, no one else's opinion really matters. So if you're interested in learning Dominican Spanish, I highly encourage you to do so. It has been one of the most rewarding things I have done with my life, and I love every moment of it. Also, if y'all have ever been told that your way of speaking is too ghetto, or that you feel like you have to change the way that you talk so that you seem more educated, let me know in the comments. I am sure that most of y'all, especially for my Black audience, have experienced this on some level. So I'm curious to know what happened and how you handled it, and really just how you feel about it. So please let me know in the comments if you've got something to say about that. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Como siempre, gracias por estar aquí. Hasta la próxima.